I'm gonna just be drawing here while people join, I guess. It's not like I'm gonna stop drawing when more people join. Ah, Jesus. What's up, people? Can you guys hear me? I haven't done one of these in so long. One of these streams. Like, I've been drawing though. I have been doing drawings by myself, but I was like, I don't know. For a while, it was just like I want to kind of keep it to myself for now. Then I don't know. I guess I wasn't as ready to share myself with people yet. But now I want to kind of put myself out there a little more. Oh, this is really bad. Just make them bigger. I'm currently learning to draw hunkers. It's hard, man. Just practicing here with this mannequin. Ooh, I really hate this. I don't think there's going to be anything special going on. I just wanted to record myself drawing for a while because, you know, I was already drawing. I might as well just record myself. Yeah, these legs are too big. I don't like this. It's a little messy, but it's fine. Is anyone even watching this? Say hi if you're watching this. Let's see. I've been enjoying kind of exaggerating the front head of the shoulder. It looks kind of fun to draw like this. I don't know the shape here. Like this, like a little mountain. I fucked it up a little. This is gonna be a quick stream, by the way. I'm not gonna make it 12 hours like the previous ones. It's gonna be shorter, kind of like just a bit of a test. Just a little testing here. I also kind of want to stream on Twitch at the same time, but I don't know how to do that. Yo, what's up, Mikro? What is up? It's been so long since. Um, it's been so long since I stream and stuff. I want to do this more often. I really miss kind of talking to people and keeping myself accountable to this goal. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Like, I wanna do like a bit of a different dynamic for my videos in the way that I don't know. I want to kind of see if I can upload some clips from my streams or something instead of making the videos themselves. So I have more time for the actual drawing time. I don't know if I'm making sense. I just want to do the streams and maybe upload some of the highlights. I think that can be nice. Like if I do it correctly, that would be like very nice and productive for me as well. Like especially if I'm gonna be doing this shit for like 12 hours every day. Like it wouldn't be crazy to like, oh, okay, I do the streams and like in the middle of the stream randomly start to record a video like that. I kind of wanted to do that today, but I guess I'm still warming up a little. For example, I wanted to. I was thinking, I think people are drawing too fast in general. I think people should draw slower. I had like this kind of realization because when I stopped undoing my lines too much and I started drawing with more control, my natural speed of drawing was slower than normal. So I was like, oh yeah, like most people are probably drawing too fast, and this is why they have so little control over their lines. Because of your videos, I feel like I'm spending less time on making my lines. Yes, like I'm gonna be honest with you. I honestly think my videos are kind of crappy. So I'm also hoping that doing these long streams are gonna help me like get better at talking and explaining things in a more natural way. This is going to sound very stupid, but I'm really not good at talking whilst drawing at the same time. I really suck at this, and you know, for the sake of explaining things and giving demonstrations, I think this is a very important skill. But I'm fucking stupid apparently, and I need to get better at this. So hopefully I will. New Darth Luigi stream. Am I dreaming? Uh, no, you're not dreaming. What's up, Kills? It's been a while. I do remember you. I know it's been a while. I'm gonna try to do this more often. Like this isn't going to be like the long streams, but I'm just gonna like this is just for the sake of doing something, posting something at the very least. What I mean is like before I would redo my multiple times my lines, but now I try to putting intention in them, so I draw them technically faster since I'm not overthinking. Yeah, I started to do this too. This is why like naturally I've been telling like spreading this message more often because I am currently focusing on that a lot, and I think I'm onto something here. I know it can be kind of trivial at first, but I really think this affects a lot of your confidence when it comes to drawing, and it is a very overlooked trick or hack that is, well, it's not technically a hack because it's really fucking hard to do, but it is in fact so hard that I have to unplug my keyboard so I don't compulsively end up doing it myself. I've been watching your recent vids. I wish I could say stay for this stream. Oh yeah. Yeah, me too. I wish I could do this like um I'm gonna be completely honest. The reason why I haven't been streaming like doing the long streams is because I haven't been waking up super early. But now I'm kind of getting my shit together, so I'm doing it again and uh I'm gonna be waking up again at 3 a.m. so I have the actual full schedule to do this and to pull this off. Just joined the server. I had no idea you had a server. Well, to be honest, I don't go in there a lot. I don't really promote it a lot. Like I do have like the Discord. It was like a private Discord, but I opened it up, like I made it public. But um I don't really go too much in there lately because I don't know, I just don't use social media too much. In fact, this is gonna sound very autistic, but I was kind of curating my Instagram feed. I follow like 500 accounts on Instagram, and I muted every single one of them, even my closest friends, because I was like, man, I don't want any distractions. I don't want Instagram to be like a thing. You know, I wish I could have Instagram without actually having Instagram. So I literally made it as low dopamine as possible. And now you go to my Instagram feed, and there's literally nothing. Instagram like gives me a message, hey, start following people. We're not gonna show you anything if you don't start following anyone. And well, great. That was precisely my goal, so I win. And it feels so nice to not be like so attached to these things. That was the thing I've been kind of struggling or not struggling, but like yeah, just focusing on the most on improving even more than my drawings and the drawing itself. Like I've been drawing every day, by the way. I may not have been uploading so much to YouTube, but I've been drawing every single day. Even if it's just a little bit, I've been drawing every single day. And but I've been mostly focusing on eliminating all of the distractions and all the bullshit because I know that's going to be a huge bottleneck, and also making things like eating healthier, going to bed earlier, because I know those things are bottlenecks. The thing that kind of stopped me from posting daily was the fact that I wasn't going to sleep super early, and that was making me that was fucking up my entire routine. So I had to focus on that first. I don't really use Instagram, and I only follow like 32 people there. I don't really use Instagram either. I don't like using Instagram, especially like if anything, like if Instagram was lower dopamine, like the older versions of Instagram, for example, I would I wouldn't mind using it every now and then. But it's so bad, especially like the mobile app in there. It's terrible. It's super loaded with dopamine and with like you're being shown accounts and posts that you don't even want to follow. You don't even like random shit that Instagram recommends you that you're not voluntarily following, and I find that to be really annoying. And it's like um, I just deleted all that, but I still want to have Instagram because I want to post stuff in there as well. Because in the end, I'm a content creator, so I need to kind of have the social media in the first place. So yeah, my rule as a content creator is that I post the content, but I try not to consume it because when you as a content creator start to consume a lot, you start to kind of um, that's when it becomes a problem, right? Because it is a cycle, and you start to like it ends up snowballing. So I just don't like it. It's like the drug dealers. I heard this analogy, like the drug dealer analogy. They can, they sell the drugs, but they don't consume them because they know how fucking dangerous it is. The same thing with social media. If you're a content creator, you should not be consuming compulsively. I mean, I still use social media because sometimes I find usual, um, some content that is useful there, like sometimes even art related, and for learning art, for example, and for actual education, then I think it's worth it. But even so, like I don't follow any art accounts anymore. Basically, like I may follow like a few, less than 10 that I actually like consuming because they're like close people, like kind of talk to and everything, artists. But I used to follow a bunch of painters in my Instagram, but I don't do any anymore. I ended up unfollowing a lot of people because it was like I don't even kind of like these people so much or their work. I'm just following it because I don't know. I don't have any real reason to keep consuming this, so I might as well just delete everything. So yeah, that's been life lately. Something else that I overlooked that really helps a lot, or that I think is really important to take care of, is your social life. I think the main reason why, like, I had this goal of doing the 12-hour streams, and I'm still gonna do it, by the way, but the reason why I kind of stopped doing them was because my mental health was getting fucked because I was socializing less. I thought, yeah, I'm being productive because I'm drawing all day, but my social skills were really bad. I stopped talking with new people as much, and that was really messing me up. And to this day, I'm still kind of trying to be more social again, going out more, saying hello to new people. This is such a good coincidence since I did the same to my YouTube recently. I had no idea I was subscribed to countless channels that don't really mean anything to me, but now the focus is to create. Yeah, I'm very careful, like, especially on YouTube, I'm very careful with the type of content I follow. Like, you have no idea. I have so many extensions, like, on my web browser and stuff, that prevent me from when you after you watch a YouTube video, you get like suggested videos and you get like the recommendations and the random YouTube channels, like new videos, like YouTube recommends you a new video. I have all of that disabled because I don't want a fucking algorithm to dictate what I do, to dictate what I should be watching. Because when that happens, I know I'm gonna become like a crackhead. I'm just gonna get addicted to it. Shit. My YouTube only has the video. If I watch a video, it doesn't show anything else. Yeah, if you disable if you turn off the your watch history, YouTube will disable the recommendations. I'm assuming in a way of punishing you or encouraging you to turn it back on. But I find that to be like an advantage. It's like, thank you. I'm not like if you're gonna disable this shit, I'm not turning it back on. Because the suggestions feel like after you finish hitting the. Sorry if I stumble upon my words. The monitor, like the chat thing, is way too far away from my monitor. Feel like after you finish eating, you see next meal. Yeah, it's just like overloading. Like I have a very addictive ADHD type of personality. I procrastinate a lot, and my attention shifts too much. I need to be doing a lot of stuff at the same time. Well, probably not at the same time, but I need to be like glued to something. And if that thing is not drawing, I'm gonna be glued to the bad habits. So I need to. What I've been focusing on intelligently was getting rid of the bad habits. So the only thing I'm able to glue my eyes to is this drawing thing. Just wondering, have you tried meditating? Yes, I've tried meditating. I'm actually like yesterday I meditated for 15 minutes. I don't meditate too often lately. Like I know it's a good habit, and I try doing it. I'm trying to do it nowadays because my attention is really fucked up. Like I like to think of myself as a disciplined person and as a person who is not like addicted to his phone and stuff, but I'm still kind of struggling with the attention thing. So I meditated for 15 minutes just listening to like I don't know, I just put like a timer and just be there sitting with my thoughts and trying to clear up my thoughts, right? Trying to just concentrate my focus on observing the thoughts that arises when I'm doing it. But my concept of meditation has always like the most productive way of meditating has always been for me doing it not like 15 minutes every day, but doing it like try to maintain it throughout the day, right? Focus on like mindfulness being such a prevalent thing in your life that when you are going about your day, you're thinking about being present, and you reduce the amount of random thoughts that you have in your mind. I tried meditating for the first time yesterday. I did it for 25 minutes. You see, like this is the thing with meditation. I'll give you like a quick tip with this, and with a lot of things, but with meditation, at least for me, because it's kind of hard, it's kind of boring to do. You should probably not start with like 25 minutes of meditation because 25 minutes is a lot of time. And if you tell me, yeah, I meditated for the first time and I'm doing 25 minutes, I am going to assume that you're not going to stick with it because that is too much. That's setting the bar up so high. You should start with something like 3 minutes of meditation. Not because that's going to do anything, but because that's going to set the habit. Like 25 minutes is pretty, really, really fucking good. But if you pretend starting with that, especially like if you are maybe if you're addicted to social media, for example, and you know you don't have the discipline to stick to like certain habits, it's going to be way challenging, and you're most likely going to quit. So just be careful with that. It's the same thing for even drawing sometimes. You know, when your standards are when you're at the point where you're not even drawing every day, drawing for at least 3 minutes is going to set up your standards to at least just draw, to at least do something. Even if it's just a little bit, that's going to be more productive than not doing anything. Because if you set the goal super high, like 20 minutes, not doing the 20 minutes, like you're gonna think that, okay, if I either I do the 20 minutes of meditation or I do zero, right? So if you don't do the 20 minutes, you're gonna feel bad because that is your standard, but your standard is too high. So you should set the standard to, again, 3 minutes. So then if you only do the 3 minutes, or even if you do only like a mindful breath, for example, how long is it gonna take you to take a mindful breath? Probably like 5 seconds. So you do 5 seconds of meditation, which sounds ridiculous, but that's going to it's more for the sake of the psychology of the habit than any other thing. Let me just unplug my keyboard. I don't want to accidentally start uh, Control C without even thinking about it. Like, I tell you to not undo your lines. Like, you can do it every now and then. Like, sometimes you genuinely fuck up and you can do it, but most of the time you're doing it unconsciously. You're doing it mindlessly. So the idea is that you kind of reframe or set different standards for the quality of your lines. So you reframe the way that you see the lines and what you consider to be an ugly line, and you become less picky about having ugly lines in your drawings. But if you fuck up sometimes, that's completely valid. This is why, because sometimes you mess up the anatomy, right? This is why I like drawing boxes like this, because boxes don't have a more complex anatomy than the shape itself, than just the perspective. So it's easier to not get caught in this thing. Uh, do you draw with pen pressure for size and opacity, or just opacity? My brush has, well, you can see my brush here is, it has opacity and also a little bit of size. It has a bit of a size jitter. I do press very lightly though. This is why my lines are always very thin and kind of opaque. But if I press harder, you can see how they become thicker. Just a little bit, not super ridiculously thick. Maybe if I increase the size, let's say like this, you can see how it becomes way thicker, of course. but I like keeping it very thin. I don't like making it super thick because it's harder to control, and also I like having opacity. Well, I mostly like having more than opacity. I like having the ability to make my lines thinner because whenever I'm drawing detail, I'm drawing something with detail. I like having control over like the density of my lines. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to draw certain details and show certain details on the thing. Mm, no. I also like pressing very lightly because my lines just look better when I'm more relaxed. I suppose I'm drawing that too hard. Sometimes it has to do with the tablet settings. Other times, yeah, you may be drawing too hard or too fast. Um, but yeah, like my rule is that if the lines look super like you stop trying to make your lines super straight and mechanically perfect, and let them be. Your lines can be ugly in so many ways, right? But the ugly looking pretty lines, so to speak, are the lines that look wobbly and shaky, but they look control and the perspective looks alright. Um, but you should be pressing lightly. You shouldn't be pressing too hard because when you are relaxed, you start to I don't know. It's like you kind of care less in some way, and it's more relaxing to draw like this. What do you recommend for pen pressure settings, like the little graphic? Oh, honestly, I don't know. I have no clue. Like just I don't change that anymore really. I don't mess with those settings anymore, but just you gotta find the the kind of sensitivity that's right for you where you're able to get all different levels of opacity without having to press too hard. So for example, this is as hard as I'm pressing. Like I'm pressing very lightly, but this is the full level of opacity. I don't have to press super hard on the tablet, right? You should be able to get from 0 to 100 without having to press super hard. And if you're able to do that, and at the same time you're able to control all the like for example, if you're drawing a box, you should be able to draw all of the lines with the same level of consistency, right? Because I used to have when I was starting out, I realized this, and my pen pressure was really bad, and so if I was gonna draw like a square, it would be like this. I will have zero control over my pen pressure, and I wouldn't be able to make it this consistent. And so, if you struggle with something like this, then you should take care of that until you can make a box with equally consistent lines, like all over, like kind of like this, yeah, with the consistent level of opacity or size in the thickness and everything. Hmm. Yeah, I'm always warming up with like specifically for that purpose of not erasing your lines and practicing just being relaxed and precisely like it's ironic. People practice their lines trying to make them perfect and straight. I practice them making them ugly and shaky, right? This is my warm up. This is like my calibration. And it only takes like a few boxes and then I'm like ready to go. And this is the only warm up that I can feel it actually does something. It's like it makes sense. The warm up in this case makes sense. It's not like I'm doing this, like whatever people do this bullshit warm up, quote unquote, and they're just drawing lines like this. Wow, 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 wow. This is so dumb. It's just silly. I don't get the point of doing that. If anything, that's gonna make you overthink more. And then after I do the warm up, I just draw the mannequins because the mannequins are also made out of boxes, so it's easy to like do the transition, and then I can start drawing more organic anatomy and shapes. Damn it. And also, doing this forces you to be mindful and think before you draw. It's gonna force you to think more what you're going to draw and visualize it more before you draw it, and that is a good thing. And it's gonna also force you to kind of help you understand that you need to understand the thing you're drawing. Otherwise, you're gonna struggle. I'm curious, though your brush doesn't seem to go to 1 pixel or lower. Do you have a size limit for the pen pressure? Uh, yes, I mean the size here. I don't know if you can see it on the right side. It's set to 5 pixels. If I make it lower, if I lower it to like 1 pixel, it's going to be way thinner. But I do think you can change the settings here in Photoshop, anyways, about that specifically. So if you go to like shape dynamics, I think you can change the minimum size or something here. But I'm not gonna mess with that because my brush already works very nicely and I don't want to touch it. Like, I don't want to try to fix what's not broken. I'm done of messing around with the settings and stuff because the other day I tried. I tried upgrading to Photoshop to the latest Photoshop version, like 2026, and it was working fine aside from the brush. Like the brush was working a little bit worse. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. But I was like, man, what? Why the fuck? The brush was working fine in the older version of Photoshop. There was no need of changing that. So right now I'm using Photoshop 2023. I had to downgrade, and it's working fine. I don't need to change programs or do any random shit. The minimum size for this brush is 5 pixels. Well, I honestly don't know if it's the minimum size, um, or the maximum size. I have no idea, but you can just change it, changing the size of the brush. Like with a shortcut, you can just. I can even use this for painting. I can use this for to paint stuff if I wanted to. Maybe I can draw. Wait, let me plug in my keyword. This is the most default brush you could ever find. Well, it's not the most default, of course. You can probably find the brush with only with opacity, which I don't like too much. The one that doesn't have pen pressure. Sorry, like the size jitter, because again, I like having density in my lines. Ugly fucking sphere here. I'm in the phase of trying whatever gets me to feel comfortable. Talking about settings, shortcuts, brushes. You end up realizing that you don't need any fancy stuff. You don't need any fancy program, any fancy brush, any fancy anything. The more I improve, the more I realize I don't even need any shortcuts. Like nowadays, I'm just drawing. I'm drawing with my keyboard unplugged, and I'm drawing with my left hand. Like I usually have my left hand on my keyboard because of the shortcuts, and now I'm just drawing with my left hand on my lap, and the other hand just grabbing the pen. And I'm just drawing with one hand like that. Recently started trying out lasso and not doing line art is funnier is funnier to do. Sorry, I can't read this. I'm not dyslexic. The monitor is too far away from me. Trying out the lasso tool, not doing line art is funnier to do. Harder but enjoyable. My quote unquote line art is doing this. It's what I'm currently doing. I draw a box first, or I draw the mannequin first, and then I draw a person inside. I use you can say I use the mannequin as a bit of a sketch. And I do quote unquote line work on top. But my line work here is not pretty. It's not. I don't focus because people when do line work, like you've seen these anime artists who do line work like this, and what they do is you've probably seen this, right? When they're drawing hair and stuff. Let's say they're drawing anime hair like this, and they're doing this. Wow, wow. They're control-C and trying to make it look perfect until. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Nice, nice, nice. And it never fucking ends. How do they spend so much time doing this? And like, I would lose my shit. This is so exhausting to draw in this way. And it doesn't really teach you anything. It distracts you a lot of the thing that actually matters. Like the analogy that I always come up with. I'm very proud of this. I came up with this analogy when I was thinking of drawing and lines, and I thought Drawing is like learning a language. It is exactly the same thing as learning a language. And the lines that you use are the equivalent of the letters. So if you're learning a language, let's say you're learning English, the letters that you draw, are they important? They can be important, but they're not the main focus of the language, right? These characters, these letters are just a vehicle to create a word. Let's create a word, for example. We just successfully created a word here, and we used it by using the letters. But the letters, that doesn't mean that the letters should be the main focus of it. Like sometimes, like the doing line work would be the equivalent of spending a whole minute trying to make a letter look pretty. You are going to finish writing a paragraph in 3 years if you focus on making every letter look super pretty and super like calligraphic, whatever bullshit. That should not be your focus, right? And so, if the letters are the vehicle to create a word, what would be the equivalent in drawing, for example? So, the lines, in this case, can be extrapolated to the letters. And the lines are the vehicle to create not words, but shapes, which in this case are the boxes. This is why boxes are so important, by the way. So, the lines are just a vehicle for you to create the boxes. You can have ugly lines and it's not going to matter as long as it reads well. It's the same thing as your handwriting. You can have ugly handwriting. Is it going to matter? No, it's not going to matter. The only situation when it's going to matter a little bit is when the handwriting is like absolutely uh, like you can't tell what's going on. You can't read the handwriting. This is when it becomes an issue, and this is like the equivalent of drawing a box super messed up with really bad perspective, for example, like this. Okay, this is kind of fucked up, right? You should find like a sweet spot, and you do this by drawing controlled in a controlled way without overthinking, without not thinking at all. Like you should have like find your pace. But this will allow you to find your natural speed and your natural tempo, which is really nice. Jesus. Fuck, I think I need to warm up again. I genuinely do this warm up myself. I'm not just telling you to do this for the sake of doing it. This is what I do. Um, I want to create in the future. Give me a second. I want to in the future create an art account with in social media, but I'm thinking I have to I have this and that level before I do it. I don't understand. Oh, I have to have this level. Like you're just feeling insecure, I guess. Is that what you mean? Because if you're telling me you feel insecure about posting your art, I'm just telling you you will always feel insecure. It's not gonna go away. It's not gonna go away. You will always feel insecure. So if you're gonna feel insecure anyways, just do it now. You might as well just start posting now. I made my account right when I was really bad. You should just do it even if you become a master. A lot of times they're still insecure. Oh, absolutely it is. Like you end up realizing that nobody really cares. Nobody's gonna say, "Oh, this guy is terrible." Nobody cares. Nobody cares in like not in a bad way, but in the way that everyone is just so concerned with their own insecurities that nobody's gonna give a fuck. What's your best advice for when doing perspective and your drawing still feels flat? Hmm. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I will have to look at your drawing. But for if you haven't, like, you need to develop a little bit of intuition to tell whether, like, if you feel like you are slacking in perspective. If the answer is yes and you don't know how to continue leveling up your perspective, then the answer is very easy. It's just draw a bunch of boxes in 3D space and try to add boxes all the time to all of your, like, scenarios, and just, yeah, just boxes, man, basically. Maybe throw in a bunch of mannequins here and there, and always visualize the mannequin. Yeah, I guess that would be a good advice. Is to, if you're drawing people in this case, always visualize the 3D mannequin that is inside of it. But if you are not able to draw the mannequin, then stick with boxes for a few months, and then you'll be able to level that up as well. Ah, Jesus, I hate this. I need to practice drawing clothing more. I've been drawing too many naked people. But clothing is just like a bonus. Learning to draw clothes is, it's not particularly hard. That's why I just prefer sticking to people for now, because it's like the hardest thing. But drawing clothes is just like learning how to draw anatomy as well. It's like part of it. It's like a bit of like a bonus. Sometimes adding some shading can make a drawing feel more 3D if perspective wasn't enough, but most of the time, good perspective will make it feel 3D. Contouring also helps. Yeah, doing contour lines on your drawings is a good thing. Let's say you're drawing a person, right? Or drawing a person. And a good way of just automatically adding more volume is just by adding, like, understanding the form of the object, and then you add contour lines that just kind of show the form of the object. And when you know the anatomy of the object, in this case the human body, You know the directions of the fibers, of the muscles, and you just know. And you're able to understand the volume of these things. However, you don't need to do this. You usually don't need to do this because you have already, when you're drawing stuff like anatomy, this is going to be more obvious when you're drawing clothes, because when you're drawing clothes, let's say you're drawing an arm that is kind of being folded, it is easy to tell the shape, for example, because you will have this folds when you're drawing clothes. You will have folds that are kind of like contour lines. They serve that purpose. So you're just following the forms here. You can go from having a very like flat drawing here to just automatically adding volume just by recognizing the parts that have volume. When I'm questioning my results, I try to think in the fundamentals, perspective, theory, color, anatomy, values, and I know and make like a recap to self-analyze easier. I mean, the first thing that you kind of need to know is, or the thing that you need to identify is, how do you measure your results? Like, in what aspects are you judging your results in art? Is it in your ability to understand perspective, or your ability to your knowledge on anatomy, for example? There are multiple things, and it is kind of tricky, but you gotta be aware of what you are basing your improvement, like what is the thing you're basing your improvement on, your results. god, this is a mess. You did the sleeve backwards. Yeah, probably. I don't care. I'm not too bothered to learning that stuff right now. They also fucked up the arm here, Jesus Christ. Depends a lot, but it's a tiny bit easier doing recap. For me, would be enjoying and expressing and drawing without seeing it as a task. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I don't see it as a task though. Uh, but you should know what you want from it. Like, you should have a bit of a goal with it as well. If you want to improve, right? If you want to see improvement. Because you can't improve in something if you don't know what you want from it. For example, it's like a video game. Like, I see it as a video game. You play a video game because it's fun. I play video games because they're fun. But you have a goal in the video game. Maybe you're playing Call of Duty and your goal is to level up the camouflages. You gotta know what the objective is, basically. I don't think that takes away the fun. I think what takes away the fun is when you're doing something mindlessly for years and then you realize, holy shit, I'm not improving because I don't have a goal. I don't have an objective. I'm just drawing just for the sake of it. Oh my god. I will get better at this. What would be your goal at drawing? I don't think I have a real reason, to be honest. It's not a reason. It's more of like an objective, right? It's not like what is your goal. It's more of like, I don't really have a goal. It's to have fun. My goal is to enjoy it. I do it because it's fun. My goal would be to improve. Now, the objective of drawing, the actual steps that I need to take, or the steps that the thing that I wanna conquer in this case, is anatomy. Anatomy is the equivalent of getting all the camouflages in Call of Duty. Learning anatomy is that equivalent, and being able to draw that from imagination. And that requires a series of steps that are way too different from what maybe the average artist is doing, because it's harder. It is a hard goal. Fuck. My personal objective is to make my own manga or story. I also want to make the best punching animation scene ever, at least to my standards. I mean, that's not an objective. I mean, technically it is an objective, but that's the thing that I'm kind of talking about. That is your goal with art. But what are the steps that you need to take to get to that level? Those steps are going to be your objective, as in the thing that you are giving your focus on improving. What are the steps? Because in my case, is learning anatomy, right? You can make a manga, but if you don't know a person looks like. You're not gonna be able to draw it, and if you don't know perspective, you're not gonna be able to draw the person in perspective, right? And things that make sense in the same world. So those things matter because you can have the goal of being a manga artist, for instance, or a comic book artist, but if you don't know what you need to, the steps that you need to follow to get better, how are you going to improve? I think I need to look more references right now. Like I haven't used a reference or anything. Um, but when I use references, it's not like I don't copy directly from them, but they're really useful. Like using references is non-negotiable. You should always be looking at references. The other day, for example, I was looking at MMA fighters, and I was looking specifically at poses, and I want to look up some more interesting poses, for example. Shit. What is the hardest body part for you to draw right now? That is a good question. Probably the head, the face. I mean, I like treating heads and faces as a thing of its own. Like you have the body, you have the entire body, and then you have the face. It's like kind of like a separate thing in terms of the anatomy because of just how complex it is by itself. So I'm treating it as like a separate thing from the rest of the body because of how hard it is. I actually think drawing faces and heads is very hard because they have uh, they have their own rules, right? When you're drawing a face, you need to focus so much on taking mental observations on things like the proportions and even the things like the cranium and the skull that is inside that is under the skin. My bad, new to streams. Where do you get your references? Pinterest or anywhere in particular? Um, I don't think I talk too much about references anyway. I should. I think I should. I wanted to make a video on references, telling people how to like study directly from references and where to get them. I personally get my references from a website called Post My Art. Post My Art, Sketchfab, Pinterest, yeah, Google Images. All of these sources are really good. But I like websites like Sketchfab, for example. Uh, Let me type it down to you so you can see it, so you can look it up. This website is really cool because I you can rotate things. You can look up like the human body and you can rotate it and it's really cool. So I don't copy directly from the references, but I've learned to store them in my mind so I can then draw it from memory without having to look at a reference. Which is not as hard as it's not as hard as it looks. But we are like the majority of artists are just very used to copying from a reference. I like to use Instagram or social media in general. Pinterest is going with Deviant Art route with AI and all that. Pinterest is very crappy in terms of yeah the AI moderation and everything. But I guess it's fine. I mean, these days I honestly I just go on Google Images because sometimes I just think, okay, I want to know how to draw the obliques. Or well, not I want to know how to draw, but I want to understand how they work better. So I just look up oblique exercise training, whatever, for like a workout of an athlete who has very shredded obliques, for example, and that usually really helps. Shit. Boing. Should I keep it? I could say the hands are as expressive as the face. Yeah, the hands are also fairly hard to draw. You gotta know the structure of the hands a lot. I can draw by yes gesture with body or hair, but I can't escape faces and their expressions. I mean, more than the expressions, what I find hard is to understand the proportions and what things look like. But you gotta do a lot of conscious, intentionate studying of the proportions of the face and the cranium and everything, the skull. You can draw a face. You can even start with like a blob like this. I like doing this. So, for example, you know the eyes are roughly in the middle. Yeah, they're basically in the middle of the skull. The eyes are going to be here. The reason why I'm drawing at the eyes like this is not because I'm lazy and I don't want to make it a more detailed face, but because I'm trying to simplify the features, so I focus more on the proportions until that's not an issue for me anymore. So, for example, you gotta know the planes as well. There are just so many things. I find it even more complicated than drawing the body. So, for example, you got the eyebrows here over the eyes. So at least you gotta know these things, right? Like the eyes, they're already in the right place. Okay, now so the eyebrows are here. This is the forehead. You got the nose is here. It kind of follows the shape of the eye sockets. So it goes from like the eyebrow thing to this like this, and then you can draw the nostrils. I think I made the eyes too far apart. You can visualize the skull inside, like under the face. That is really important. Cheekbones, like you know where everything is located. And you can even measure, like sometimes I even like measuring the proportions with like nothing super mathematical or autistic, just measuring just for a few seconds the proportions with my pen and my finger. Just to make sure, for example, that the eyes are in the right spot. So you know the fuck ear is going to be here. It's going to be like this, bam. I mean, there are people like faces are fairly challenging to draw. There are people, I would even say most people struggle with drawing faces from imagination, and even the artists who are really good, most of the time what they do is add so much detail and rendering to the face that they're basically concealing a lot of the flaws and the inaccuracies. Maybe this is a girl with very masculine facial structure. Jesus. I definitely see myself. I see myself doing this again for 12 hours. Not today though. Today I'm gonna end this earlier. I wanna practice drawing more clothes because as you saw, I'm really not. I don't practice that a lot, so I'm gonna draw more mannequins. Shit. So you also see that I'm always drawing the mannequin first, and I'm kind of overlaying the anatomy. I'm drawing the actual complex anatomy then under it, or inside, or on top, whatever. Like I can draw the reason why I'm doing this is because of the pose mostly. This is very helpful for poses and to train yourself to draw in as many and to make a pose that makes more sense beforehand because it's more tricky to just raw dog it and make a pose that makes sense if you haven't practiced enough poses. So it's easier to first establish the pose with the mannequin. God damn it, so many alarms. What the hell what was I gonna draw? it. Damn it. Fuck. You don't make the lips like this. Looks like she just has a beard or something. A beard. She has a beard. Fuck, I'm starting to get brain fog. Come on, you can do this. Something I think it's easy to mess up in faces are cheekbones and lips in certain perspectives. The cheekbones are actually fairly easy if you know how to, if you understand the proportions, or if you not the proportions but the location of it. I know it sounds stupid. Oh, they're easy if you know where they are, but yeah, pretty much. If you have looked at enough pictures of like the human skull and compare them and kind of understand the location in comparison to the rest of the features, they're actually pretty easy and they can be a very useful landmark as well. Yeah, lips are not that hard to draw. Shoo. I'm learning from basics and I'm currently on the drawing 500 boxes phase. Nice, man. How you been, bro? I haven't seen you stream. I'm good. Like, I haven't been streaming too much, but I've been drawing. I wanted to just stream for a while as a bit of a test because I want to go back to it. Fuck. Yeah, even though I can do art, I want to learn from basics to draw my from my imagination. Yeah, just don't. Never mind. Like, yeah, just skip doing that. Because I mean, I see a lot of people who they're already pretty good at perspective, but they don't keep on learning the rest of things like anatomy. So it's kind of weird because yeah, you're good at perspective and you're basically selling an entire course in perspective. But what else, right? It's like that's the only thing that's going on for you. You start to think, okay, what's the point of learning perspective if you can't do anything else from imagination aside from boxes? So it's not only about learning perspective; it's actually is as equally important to learn anatomy and understand how things properly work. I don't like using the lasso tool, but kind of need to fix her mouth. It's just I want to be more confident with how my proportions look and get quicker. So you get better at proportions by learning anatomy, not perspective. So perspective, the only thing that perspective is gonna get you better at is at the mindset of the drawing, so to speak. Like it's gonna sound kind of weird if you don't know what I'm talking about, but probably you can just bear with me, right? Learning perspective is what you're learning is to spawn people onto the canvas, right? Or spawn things or objects onto the canvas and make those multiple items interact with each other in a way that makes sense. Now, if you don't know what the items that you're spawning, in this case people, look like, if you don't know the anatomy, you're only going to be able to spawn boxes, not nothing else really. So you need to look at anatomy and you start to realize what things look like, you start to learn, and then you go like, okay, the back muscles look like this because the um, the trapezius, the lower trapezius, are kind of connected like this to the rest of the body, to the upper back, like the fuck, the trapezius is connected like this with the lats, and it's also connected to the humerus, that is also connected to the shoulders. You start to learn a lot. You start to actually understand what you're doing, so you can then draw this from imagination. Because if you only draw boxes, that's gonna help you. That is absolutely gonna help you. But you still need to learn anatomy. I need to know anatomy too. Yeah, you can kind of learn both things at the same time. I learned perspective first, like you did, and then I learned anatomy. I was focusing on perspective for like an entire year. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready. I want to learn anatomy. Fuck, I made this too small. But you can try learning anatomy and perspective at the same time. I think it's plausible. Crap. Here I'm telling you exactly what I always tell you not to do. I'm currently doing it right now. Fantastic. I've started learning anatomy slowly. I only started learning in December last year. Started with face, then how eyes can look, then rendering, then now neck and values. Now boxes side by side. I mean, it is a lot of stuff, right? I personally stopped painting. I don't focus on rendering anymore, and I don't recommend you do that because focusing on rendering is kind of pointless early on. Because rendering is just making things look pretty. You want to focus on making things look accurate, not pretty. When you render too much, you're practicing to. Well, I'm generalizing here, but in the beginning, I think it's just a pointless because you're just practicing to conceal your mistakes, your anatomical mistakes. Maybe then, when you're bored already of, and you think, okay, I'm already good enough, I'm gonna learn how to properly render stuff and make things look pretty. But doing that as a beginner, I find it a little bit pointless. Like I'm not even, I don't practice rendering like my drawings. I used to practice rendering my paintings, but I don't do a lot of painting anymore because drawing and painting are very different. So I'm only focusing on drawing. Rendering was always my main, and that's one of the reasons I started doing art. That's true. I do post my art on my channel if you want to see. Let me let me check. rendering. Mm. Oh yeah, so you're focusing more. You focus your style more on like anime. Yeah, I understand. Kind of like the urge to render and make things pretty, but if you don't know what you're doing, like I'm not saying. Look, I don't want to sound offensive. I'm not directing this to your art, but you can't polish a turd. And this is the concept, this is the principle of rendering. If you don't know what something looks like, let's say right now I want to render a car engine, but I don't know what a car engine looks like, I don't know how to draw it. You know what's going to happen. I can't render it if I don't know what it looks like. If I don't understand it properly and if I don't understand the form properly. So, yeah, pretty much you got to keep things more readable in the beginning if you want to get like a solid base for the rendering to take place and actually um, look like you know what you're doing. This is why you see my drawings are always very unfinished, quote unquote, kind of thing. Like they're not very rendered. They're not like whoa, super rendered, super detailed. They're just practice because that's what's gonna get you mileage, not rendering. Rendering is just something that you do for the sake of presentation. And if you're a beginner, you don't need to worry about presentation. You need to worry about things making sense. Jesus. I think I'm gonna wrap this up in a while. I don't know, maybe in like 30 minutes, an hour, I don't know. Uh, uh, um, that's why I took a break from all the art in all sorts. Yeah, man. Do whatever you gotta do. It's good to expose to this type of like different points of view and to see what gives you the most results in the thing that you want. Because I will give you different advice from like one artist is going to give you certain advice and I'm going to give you different advice from that. But they serve different purposes, right? Maybe my the advice that I give you is not going to be is not going to be as useful if your goal is drawing cartoons. If your goal is I don't know, drawing 2D cartoons, or if your goal is drawing, I don't know, fucking anime sometimes, or even manga. Like I'm not actually like this is more universal, the stuff that I'm always talking about. So it will definitely help you, but shit. Okay, it's back. Sorry, I accidentally minimized my screen. The advice that I give you is going to help you for the goal that I have is the thing that helped me personally, and it helped me well get a certain goal. And if that is what you want, then go for it. But maybe you don't want this. Is what I mean. Maybe you want to draw anime, and my advice is not gonna serve you, so it's pointless. starting to get sleepy, man. Close this shit again. Okay, I'm gonna head out in a minute. Is anyone still here? Choo, choo, choo. I kind of like this guy. I like to draw the skinny legs because when you draw skinny legs in a on a naked person, it forces you to draw the butt cheek on the backside. If you haven't tried it already, try drawing the mannequin like this. It's really, really fucking fun. Alright, guys. It was fun. But I'm gonna fuck off now. It's been too long here. It's been too long already. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna be here until 1 a.m. Thank you guys for staying. I guess I will try to post more often. I promise. Hopefully by next week I'll be posting the live streams. Hey, I'm new to the channel and I'm very keen on getting the one-on-one in the future. Any chance that you have knowledge on hatching techniques for the manga? Hmm. For manga. I mean, hatching is not really hard, but if you are a beginner, well, you didn't say you were a beginner, but yeah, I mean it's really hard. I don't do rendering too much just for the reason that it's not as important as the rest of things, but yeah, it's like a nice thing that you can develop. If you're a beginner, your main focus shouldn't be like I was talking about this earlier precisely about rendering and making things look extra pretty. When you focus on this, you are naturally going to neglect the other. You need to develop the solid foundation first before you focus on making things super detailed and pretty. Otherwise, you're going to be polishing a turd if you don't know what you're doing. That's the analogy that I like using. You're polishing a turd. You're trying to make a piece of shit trying to make it look pretty. And yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to discourage you from doing this or anything. I'm just straight away just telling you the truth. And also telling you what I do. Like sometimes I do a little bit of hatching, whatever, hatching or a crappy shading, but it's not super relevant, I guess, because when you focus on that, you're also getting more into the path of digital painting and values and shading. And I'm currently more focused on drawing instead of painting. Like, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you drawing is more productive in terms of improving than painting. But you gotta be decisive on what thing you want to develop, one thing at a time. Like, huge mistake is to try to learn multiple things at the same time, even on the same thing, even on the same like little hole. If you're trying to learn painting and drawing at the same time, this is what I always tell my students. Focus on one thing. If you're trying to learn anything, like don't try to don't try to learn everything all at once, because you're going to be mediocre at everything. Does that make sense? This is why I'm not painting anymore. And I'm kind of rambling here a little bit, but I just wanted to talk a little about um, priorities. Yeah. Sleep well if you're going to sleep. No, man, it's like 1 p.m. I said 1 a.m. because 12 hours. It's still quite early here. I'm going to the gym for a while, and I'm gonna eat something, I guess. My priority is trying to draw every day while learning anatomy on the side. Okay, so if you are learning anatomy, or if your focus is more on the actual drawing than, let's say, for example, painting, if you're focused more on the drawing fundamentals themselves, then you have more of a well established path here, and like it's easier to figure out what you want to do, the steps, I mean. So yeah, the drawing steps fundamentals are very straightforward. So it should be very easy to you once you figure out the steps. It's just as simple as that. It's like imagine, oh man, I've used this analogy 100 times today. Imagine you're playing Call of Duty and you want to level up the camouflages. Leveling up the camouflages in Call of Duty is not hard. It's super straightforward. Like the game tells you what you need to do in order to unlock the camouflage. But if you don't know that the camouflages exist in the first place, then it's going to be really hard. So what you gotta do is understand that you're playing the game in the first place, so you can level it up. So yeah, and this fundamentals, man, most people just learn it wrong for some reason. Learning anatomy and learning perspective are not like underground, like super hidden, low key techniques or anything. These are like the obvious things that you need to learn in order to improve. But for some reason, most people, like 99% of people, do it wrong. They don't learn it. They never learn it correctly because I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. I guess it's more of a mindset issue. That's mostly why I talk a lot about mindset and about my own personal mistakes because I also used to fuck this up. I also started drawing. When I started drawing using lines and stuff, I was drawing a lot of manga. Well, not manga, but I was copying manga artists. I was copying like crappy like anime, but it was mostly copying, right? I was copying other artists, which, if you're a beginner, chances are this is what you're currently doing. You're copying from other artists and doing studies, which is fair enough. You know, we all got our limitations, and obviously, if you don't know what else, like how else to progress, then that's what you're gonna end up doing. But what like the purpose of the advice that I give is to get you out of that rut of not knowing how to break from those from references and copying from references and just directly memorizing them and so you can draw them from imagination. I think that's the main issue for most people. Damn, you got me. I was copying a favorite manga artist of mine. Yeah, I was also going on Pinterest and I would copy the drawings there. And you know what? It was actually very embarrassing. I always say this because not even when I was a beginner, I was already a well established artist. I was already drawing for years and I was really good at painting at the time. I was really, really good at painting and I started to get a little bit more, people started to recognize me a little more. And I was still copying other artists because I didn't know how to draw from imagination. And it's very easy to cope because it's a hard thing to do. To be honest, it's a hard skill to learn. But it's just what it is. I do the same just to keep going sometimes. The problem, I mean, I'm not saying that is a bad thing to look at other people's work, but to copy directly. And I'm not saying again that this is necessarily a bad thing. It's just a waste of time when you know the alternative, when you know the right way of doing it. And this is what I've been focusing on doing. Need copy consciously and analyze. Look, the thing is that I was talking like yesterday, a few days ago. I was talking with one of my Patreons, And he asked me, there are people who say that tracing is a good thing, like tracing for tracing on images, not tracing other people's art, but tracing images and maybe tracing the structure and stuff. And I told him tracing is not bad, but 99% of people who trace do it wrong. And the 1% of people who don't do it wrong, they don't need to trace. The people who know what they're doing and are tracing mindfully and consciously, they don't need to trace. They don't need to copy. If you know what you're doing, you don't need to do these things. So they are automatically trivial. Because if you truly know what you're doing, this is not about talent, by the way. This not it's just about knowing what the fuck you're doing. You can just look at a reference. You can look at even other people's work, but I recommend doing this with actual references. You look at a reference. You look at the human body, for example, and you can absorb those references. You can absorb that information that you're actually seeing. And this is tricky, right? Because this is not automatic. You need to follow a certain sequence of steps in order to get to this point. It's not that you need to be talented and you need to have photographic memory for you to do this. It is also not that you need to um, fuck, I forget what I was gonna say. Like, you just need to know, right? It's not impossible. This is what I've been doing, and this is why I'm able to draw like this complex anatomy from imagination, and it doesn't even take a lot of time to get to a good point like this. It just takes observing the right way, which is pretty straightforward, but it's complicated to explain. This is why I'm making so many videos on this, because it takes time. But it is possible, and it's basically the only way to break from this mindless copying. But yeah, in short, the in a nutshell, you don't need to copy other artists. You don't need to copy their drawings or copy directly from pictures if you've unlocked this knowledge. Which is not something like when I say unlock this knowledge, it's like a certain mindset, right? The point of the one-on-one mentorships is for me to personally brainwash you so you have the mindset that I do. Because even for like if you're watching this video, like it takes a long time for these things to kind of absorb in your brain. The mindset is not something I call it mindset because it's not just something that I can tell you. Hey, you do this like this, not like this, and it's like, oh, okay, now I know how to do it. No, you gotta follow like a sequence of steps, and then your brain is going to understand. It's going to click. That is the word. It's going to click, and it's going to you're gonna be having these eureka moments um, throughout your practicing, and it's going to be really good. And then you're gonna realize, okay, copying stuff is actually pointless, and it's not very sexy either. It's like, imagine you're outside and you got a friend, and a friend tells you, hey, can you draw this? It's like, oh yeah, yeah, let me just look at a photo. It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? If you're an artist and you only learn to copy. And yeah, I used to feel kind of insecure about this, but it feels really nice to break through that barrier. And I'm not talented. I'm just a random guy. I'm not talented. I just have a lot of passion for this, and you don't need to have like a certain talent or be, I don't know, have like a certain brain development to do this. That is the cool part. Mm, okay, so today I was supposed to record a video and I didn't do it. The purpose of this stream was to kind of test that, to kind of test how how could I record a video midstream, for example. Like, I give you like a bit of a demonstration. I mean, I guess I could post this on YouTube. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Yes, I'm talking about drawing from imagination. I went from someone who was only able to draw by looking at something and copying it, and poorly, by the way. Like I wasn't even very good at that. And now I draw everything basically from imagination because I don't need to copy stuff because it's just not even the most effective way of learning. Even if your goal is memorizing things, copying is not going to solve it. Copying directly is not even going to make you remember things. Like looking at something or observing, like truly observing something, is going to make you remember that better than copying it. It sounds ironic, but it is the truth. You also got to learn how to observe because let's say I have an object in front of me. Let's say I'm talking to this microphone. Let's say I have this microphone in front of me and I want to memorize this microphone. If I only look at the microphone, I'm not going to suddenly memorize it. I'm not going to understand what it looks like and how it works. It's not going to happen. But if I observe it with the intention of memorizing it and I follow the sequence of steps like taking mental observations, what I do is I take mental observations on what the microphone looks like, how it works. I make a conscious effort to memorize the 3D shape and visualize it in perspective. You know, all of these little random things. And then my brain is going to remember it. Especially after I draw it, like afterwards, it just sticks for some reason. Like when I started with the streams, I remember I was drawing, which I improved so fucking much, by the way, in such little amount of time. But anyways, I started with the when I started with the streams, I started drawing car engines. I don't know. It's just very random, but I like drawing car engines. It's like it was like a very random thing that I was kind of interested, just for the sake of challenging me a little bit because they were really complex. And from like that point, I never drew a car engine again. It was like, okay, I drew the car engine, and then it's like, okay, I don't draw it anymore because I'm more focused on human anatomy. And then a few days ago, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try drawing the car engine again without looking at a reference, just by pure memory, trying to remember what it looks like in my observations from a few months ago. And I was able to pull it off. At first, I was like, no, there's no way this is gonna turn out okay. But then I was like, oh, actually, it's really good. Like I could remember what it looked like, at least 80% of it, which is insane. If I haven't looked at it in a few months, how do I get better at it? Like, okay, imagine I haven't looked at it for a few months. If I look at a reference of that same engine again, it's like it's going to like my memory is going to refresh. My muscle memory is going to um, what do you call it? It's going to function again, so to speak. It's going to remember what it looked like in more detail just by looking at it again. Like it's already in my database. And I think most people make the mistake of thinking, "Oh yeah, um, you already have an like about Visual Library, right? I'm talking about Visual Library. People think, yeah, you've already looked at this object, so you already have it in your Visual Library. So you can draw it from imagination. No, it doesn't really work like that. Just because you looked at something before, just because you looked at a crane, for example, doesn't mean that you're gonna memorize and remember what it looks like when you draw it from imagination. So your Visual Library begins you start to actually um, you start to actually collect the books, or putting books in your visual library, so to speak, the moment that you begin to consciously observe. You haven't consciously observed yet. And until you do it, your visual library, let's just for the sake of the argument say that it's empty. Because again, if I tell you, hey, can you draw a cat? Bro, I have three fucking cats. There was a point in my life where I had 10 cats. I've had cats consistently in my life for the past 12 years. And even then, I know I haven't practiced drawing cats enough. I haven't looked at them in a conscious way enough for me to draw them from imagination as well as I can draw people, for example. Because I haven't practiced it as much as I have with people. When I do it, like when I get bored of drawing people and I start drawing animals, I'm gonna be good at it. And because I started to observe consciously, because the images of these animals that I've seen in the past are not doing anything in my mind when I'm trying to recall them. Because they're not gonna be accurate. It's just how it works. If you want, like again, going back to the analogy of Call of Duty, learning anatomy is like leveling up camouflages in Call of Duty. So you got this camouflage. Okay, you level it up. You get the camouflage. That is like learning human anatomy. That is learning how to draw a person. Okay, you got one camouflage. Then how to draw a cat. You learn how to draw a cat. So then you got another camouflage. But in order for you to get the camouflage, you first got to follow a series of steps. That is killing people, right? In this case, it's observing. Car engines, and that's another camouflage. Personally, the anatomy, the human anatomy camouflage is the most difficult one to learn. If you ask me what is harder to learn, the human body or a car engine or like a mechanical complex stuff, the human body is super more difficult to learn how to draw from imagination. This is why I have been hyper focusing on the human body specifically, and I haven't been doing much else. I haven't been drawing a lot of animals. I haven't been drawing a lot of car engines again, because this is the hardest. This is as hard as it gets in terms of difficulty. And once you're done with human anatomy, the rest is just easy, and you can draw like fucking Kim Jong Il if you want. Whew. Okay, that was some loaded information. I'm gonna be probably turning this into a video or something, because I'm too lazy to record a separate video aside from this. I want to work as little as possible because I'm a lazy. I actually want to just optimize my time so I can draw for as long as possible and having to record videos for as least as humanly possible. So this is also the purpose of these streams. My friends from art schools and they themselves told me that it's best to draw from life rather than from a photo and analyze the object you're drawing, forms, values, blah 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 blah. Blah. Bro, it's the same thing. I mean, here you're not talking about drawing from imagination. You're talking about copying from life and from a photo. But if we talk about absorbing this information and references from to draw from imagination, everything counts. Anything goes. Literally, the internet and photos are the most valuable asset that you have in these terms, even more than real life, because in real life you're not going to be able to see and rotate a fucking car engine, but if you go to Sketchfab you will, and you will be able to memorize it more effectively. And then people are going to be like, How the fuck did you memorize what this looks like? What a, I don't know, a robotic mech looks like? How do you know what it looks like? Have you seen one in real life? Of course not. But you have the internet. This is the beauty of it. And ideally, you're not copying neither from life or from a photo. I mean, that's equally as pointless, in my opinion, in terms of this that we're talking. So you think observing consciously is more important than even making a mark in the paper? Yes. Yes, exactly. Let me just look. Drawing is, or drawing from imagination is basically compounded by two principles. Principle number one is learning perspective. After you learn perspective, and this is gonna sound fucking crazy, but after you learn perspective, you don't even need to put another mark on the paper. You don't even need to draw anymore in order to improve. You can just observe. You can understand the world, and that's gonna improve you even more than drawing. It is insane. It is weird. It is so counterintuitive um, how observing is going to give you is going to get you further than drawing. Observing consciously is literally what Kim Jong Il did. Yeah, I saw in an interview that he went to the military in Korea, and he couldn't draw, obviously. So he was just observing stuff. He was like drawing in his mind, and when you understand how to do this, you don't even need to draw anymore. It sounds weird, but drawing is just a display of your knowledge. Drawing is not about who can copy the best a photo. Drawing is about a display of the visual knowledge that you have acquired. So, yeah, if you don't know what a how a car engine works and what it looks like, you're not gonna be able to draw it. If you know what a car engine looks like, you're gonna be able to draw it. That it's common sense when I put it like this, isn't it? But nobody does it because it takes like I guess the best way to describe it is that it takes like a an extra muscle. It You have to work out this muscle in your brain. Drawing is the skill to project the knowledge of what you visualize in your mind. Sorry, the fucking monitor. Drawing is the skill to project the knowledge or what you visualize in your mind into a real world. Yes, but it's more about knowledge. Look, I don't like too much of the term drawing from imagination. I prefer the term drawing from knowledge. Because, look, let me tell you this. Drawing from imagination is kind of a shitty term. Because if I tell you, hey, imagine a plane engine or some random shit, like you probably haven't seen a plane engine or like a complex uh, stuff, a complex item that you don't usually see in real life. So if I tell you, hey, imagine, visualize a car engine, and you don't know what it looks like, then you can say that drawing from imagination is pointless. Because if your imagination is shit, then you won't be able to do it. But your imagination has very little to do with the drawing itself. It's the knowledge that you have on that thing. So if you don't know how to draw a car engine, observe it and absorb, like again, here's where you use that sequence of steps. Then you absorb the knowledge, so then you know what it looks like, and then you can draw it without having to look at the reference in the first place. But again, it's just about understanding what you're drawing. The more you understand what you're drawing, the better it's going to be. Otherwise, it's just going to be gibberish. Let me give you another example. Like, when you're drawing something, anything, there should not be gibberish. There should not be guessing. What people do is, oh, I'm going to guess. I'm going to try to guess what this looks like. I'm going to try to wing it. I'm going to um, maybe there's some gibberish, and I ask you, hey, what is this? I don't know. It's just some gibberish, some randomness in the line work or something. But this shouldn't happen if you know what you're doing, and if you know what you're doing, your drawings are going to be crystal clear. So, for example, if I go to this drawing here, that I was drawing the back muscles, I can name you the muscles here. This muscle here is the lower trapezius, and when you raise your arm, it takes this shape that is a little bit different from when your arms are lowered. And this next to it is the infraspinatus muscle that is connected to the it's kind of cage in between the upper traps, the lower traps, and the lats. These are the lats, by the way. So I know what I'm doing. I'm not trying to guess. I'm not drawing this by trying to I don't know, force like a mystical 3D, like 4D plane fuck, I can't talk. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like a mystical, wishy-washy thing to do. It's like, just draw what you know. Draw what you know and how it works. When when you're raising your arm from this view, you will be able to see the lats coming from the humerus like this, and the shoulder here is going to be above, and it's going to kind of connect in this way with the trapezius, and you're gonna be able to see like a crease here and the heads of the shoulder from this angle. You gotta know what you're doing, man. If you don't know this information that I just talked about, if this doesn't make any sense, you're not gonna be able to draw anatomy unless you copy from a photo. That makes sense. If anyone else has any other random questions, feel free to ask it before I wrap this up, because it's already kind of late. It's the same thing with proportions as well. Proportions are like the same as anatomy, right? You learn when you learn anatomy, you will naturally learn proportions and everything. How do I learn perspective? Sorry, I saw your vid about not caring about line quality, but I don't know how to specifically learn it. Man, just draw boxes. Honestly, just draw boxes. Don't think that I'm giving you half-ass advice here. Just draw boxes. That's literally it. Like, do something similar to this. Just draw a bunch of boxes in perspective. Um, Make them connect. Use vanishing points, whatever. After you do this consistently for a year, you will be already a master at perspective. And when you are a master at perspective, everything else unlocks for you. This is the equivalent of finishing the tutorial, right? This is so important. Learning perspective or mastering perspective is the equivalent of finishing the tutorial if this was like a video game. The thing is that most people don't actually know how to play the game beyond the tutorial. This is when anatomy comes into place. This is what I teach you. So yeah, just draw boxes, man. Draw boxes with as much variety, thickness, eye level, everything. Just vary them a lot, and you will eventually it will eventually click, right? You will have a bit of an eureka moment, urethra moment. You're gonna have this like it's gonna click. It's gonna click, and you're gonna think, oh, hell yeah, it makes sense now. Thank you. Should I also draw cylinders? I mean, if you want, it's not the end of the world if you don't draw cylinders. You can do it. I mean, it's just so similar to drawing boxes that it's kind of irrelevant sometimes. I draw like for example, if you're gonna draw after you're kind of good at drawing the boxes, like I told you, then you can level up to the mannequins. You start drawing mannequins like this, and then you're naturally going to be implementing cylinders, and you're gonna be twisting them in perspective in 3D space like this, and yeah, I mean it's fairly easy. I don't think you need to practice it, like be autistic about it. Yeah, man, I need to do these streams more often. I actually like talking about this stuff, and also it keeps me accountable because I have a lot of ADHD and I end up getting distracted by some random shit. So, see ya, man. Thank you for sticking around. All right, so I'll be wrapping this up already. I want to go to other stuff, I guess. I promise I'll try to keep it up with the streams. All right, goodbye, everyone. Chew.